why did you say that the 2015 elections were rigged?
Well, honestly, I didn't.
He said he's wondering why you claim that the 2015 elections were rigged.
Oh, you are bringing new things here.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Okay. In 2015, you know, prior to the election, there was high tension in the country, particularly in the north. As a result, many Southerner residents in the north had to relocate to their state of origin. There was very serious tension. A committee, an organization which I led, had to undertake tour to meet different opinion leaders, traditional rulers, religious leaders, to appeal to them to help in calming down the situation. We succeeded, thank God. Out of 19 states, we visited 17. The only state that we could not visit were Monroe and Yobe. Those were, because there were no-go areas at that time. So there was a tension. That tension forced a lot of Southerners living here in the north to relocate. Those who are not able to relocate do not come out to vote. And you can see this clearly if you take the number of votes Jonathan or PDP got in places like Kano, where you have a concentration of large number of Southerners, to Kaduna, to Bauchi, to Plateau, to Maiduguri, and other areas where you have a concentration of some Southerners. The result was that the vote scored by Jonathan in that election came down to 1/3 or 1/4 of what he got in the previous election. You can get the record. So to rig the election does not only stop at adding a figure. To scare people away from voting is a form of rigging an election. This card reader thing introduced were religiously enforced in the South. They are not so religiously enforced in the North. The result was that people had their feet there.
Because some people will say that the conclusions you reached were based on the assumptions that people were going to be voting along ethnic and perhaps religious lines. You were assuming that, because there were tensions in the North, Southerners were scared away from the polling stations. But
from participating in the electoral process.
And you believe that it was fairer down south?
Indeed.
How do you come to that conclusion?
Okay. This card reader?
Yes.
Go and look for the record. How many people? Kano gave Buhari almost 2 million. Go and get the record. How many of them passed through the card reader? I'm from Kano.
The same thing happened in some states in the South.
Okay, what brings the evidence? That the way it was enforced in the South is the same way that it was enforced in the North. And apart from that, let me add something to you, which probably you didn't observe. All the mosques, I would say most of the mosques in the North, dedicated their sermons on Friday, a day before the election. They didn't mention anybody's name. They told the congregations that tomorrow, vote for people who will protect your religion, your culture. When a Muslim and a Christian are contesting election, if you go to the mosque and tell the congregation to support the people who will protect their candidate, do you think they will vote for a Christian?
But your claims are at variance with some of the other accounts that we've heard. We recall a book written by the chairman of this day editorial board, Olusegun Adeniyi, Against the Run of Play, in which you have accounts of PDP members, especially former President Goodluck Jonathan and others, who acknowledged that, look, there were some members, high-level members, who essentially betrayed the former president in terms of gathering support against him as opposed to gathering support for him. Are those essentially playing second fiddle now to this idea that it was just massively rigged in the North?
Well, I was not PDP. I wouldn't know their problem. I wouldn't like to delve into that. But I will tell you that I told you about this card reader matter. And I told you about this. Go and find out. I didn't know it happened, this mosque thing. And you see, when the election was about to take place, because of the tension, my children insisted that I and my wife, you know, I'm not a Christian, so I have more wives. I don't keep one. So they insisted that I should bring their mothers to Abuja. So myself and my wife, I have not been voted since 1999. So my wife, the children insisted that we should relocate to Abuja. We relocated to Abuja. So the election took place while we were in Abuja. After the election, I went back to Kano. Next door to my house, we share a common wall. It's a big Friday mosque. I didn't know something happened the previous Friday. The imam, I was in the front line. He thanked God. He said, this day last week, we begged you, God, to return this power to us. And we are now grateful to you, Almighty, that today we have one of our own. And mentioned the president-elect at that time, name. So I said, did they do that? But I know happened to be a member of defunct NEPO. That was the tradition before. I thought they had gone. I didn't know that it has been revived. So then I started to find out. Then everybody, a villager, I have my relation in Taraba, in Adamawa. I talked to them about this preaching. They said it was the same thing. So I was surprised to find out that this is what happened. My fear is this. If you introduce politics, religion to politics, you are creating a problem that nobody can solve. If I heard some pastors urging Christians to ensure that they get their registration card, permanent voter's card, and some were even threatening that if you know registration card, no, what do they call their congregation, no attendance of Sunday's Mass and so on. So if you begin to get that, whoever started this problem should bear the blame. So if you allow religion to come into politics, this is the kind of thing that we are going to have.